Hello, and thank you for joining us on France 24. It's time for us to cast our collective eye on Africa. First up, the headlines. Tensions escalate between Ethiopia and Tigray, with Addis Ababa accusing Tigrayans of preparing for war. Between 2020 and 2022, some 600,000 people were killed and millions more displaced in a devastating civil war which tore the region apart. 3 people killed and 4 others wounded in a drone strike on a humanitarian convoy in Sudan's Kordofan region. This, as the UN says, the Rapid Support Forces' actions in North Darfur's regional capital, El Fasher, in October, bear the hallmarks of genocide. We'll be going into further detail with our guest, Darfur de jure Governor Minni Arko Minawi. And it's a highly awaited return that has been a long time coming. After 110 years in French hands, the legendary talking drum, the Djidji Ayôkwê of the Atchan people, is finally being restituted to Ivory Coast. Welcome to the program. In Ethiopia, amateur footage is showing an increasing deployment of federal army troops along the border with Tigray, a region that was at the heart of a devastating conflict between 2020 and 2022, which left more than 600,000 people dead. Tensions have reached an all-time high, with the government accusing the Tigrayans of preparing for war. More details from Nairobi with Bastien Renouy.
On the videos, we can see many battle tanks carried on trucks toward Tigray. Many troops were also transported from the Oromia region towards Tigray. So does that mean that the war will break anytime soon? I spoke this morning to a regional security analyst. Listen to him.
The troop movement, maybe it's about preemption and it's about deterrence, not necessarily offensive action in an immediate situation. So I think Addis Ababa may be signaling it will not allow fragmentation of authority.
Recently, the federal government has been accusing the Tigray People's Liberation Front of signing a deal with Eritrea, the neighboring country located north of Tigray. According to the government, they are planning to attack Addis Ababa together. If it was the case, it would be the end of the Pretoria Agreement that ended the war in 2022.
Ethiopia is not in a post-war transition, not also in a post-conflict stability. I think the Pretoria Agreement ended a large-scale hostilities, but did not resolve the underlying political questions.
To achieve a long-lasting peace, the TPLF says it wants more autonomy for Tigray. They are also requesting more protection for civilians and the return of the internally displaced persons from the previous conflict. They say that they are ready to negotiate with Addis Ababa, that they do not want the war, but at the moment it seems that there is no negotiation ongoing between the federal government and the regional government of Tigray.
3 people were killed and 4 others wounded on Thursday in Sudan's Kordofan region following a drone strike on a humanitarian aid convoy. According to a violence monitoring group, Sudan's Doctors Network, the trucks were transporting food and humanitarian aid to the cities of Kadugli and Dilling in South Kordofan when they were struck by drones belonging to the Rapid Support Forces. This comes following a UN report which determined that evidence of crimes committed in late October by the RSF in El Fasher, the capital city of North Darfur, showed hallmarks of genocide. And to discuss the situation in Darfur, I am joined by the region's governor and leader of the Sudanese Liberation Movement MM faction, Governor Minni Arko Minawi. Thank you very much for joining us on the program, Governor. UN experts have concluded that the Rapid Support Forces committed acts that bore hallmarks of genocide against the Fur and Zarawa communities in El Fasher. As the de jure governor of Darfur, what authority and practical resources do you currently have to protect civilians?
Yes, we appreciate that report and also that position. It is really, although it's late, it become late, but this is the really situation that's happened by the Rapid Support Forces. They killed many, not only Zarawa, but all the African indigenous, those in Sudan, especially in Darfur, they've been killed and also targeted intentionally by segregating the people from the others, and they kill a lot of people, and it was a genocide, really genocide, and still this genocide is going on. So the humanitarian situation is dire, really dire, and that is the humanity, and that is why it is not my responsibility as alone as the governor, but it is the international responsibility and the government of Sudan's responsibility, including the African Union also has to take the step in order to stop this kind of the crimes in Africa.
And well, you say that it's also a part of the responsibility belongs to the international community. You're currently here with us in Paris. You've been meeting throughout the week with French parliamentarians. What kind of help are you looking for?
Really, it was a good meeting we had, and it was a good, productive conference we had. Many parliamentarians, they spoke about the government has to take place and change the position that it was neutrality. This is not the time of the neutrality because it is a genocide that's committed by the RSF, by the Atchan, so-called Tassis government. And that is why the humanitarian and the humanity should be a take step toward stopping this kind of the crimes. And also yesterday I had a good meeting with the many different people from the different constituencies, and those some of the elites and some of the intellectual. We had this meeting. It is going, the understanding of the situation in Sudan is going to grow toward the international community recruit for stopping this kind of the atrocities.
And in January, the Sudanese armed forces announced plans to mobilize to retake Darfur and Kordofan. Do you know what the current status of that effort is, and what role, if any, are your forces from the Sudanese Liberation Movement, faction, playing?
To compare with the first at the beginning date of the war, it was almost all the Sudan has been taken by the RSF. But now we moving toward liberate every inch of Sudan, including Darfur. From Kordofan, we are going to west, and also many areas in Darfur right now under the hands of the government, and we are moving toward to liberate every city that has been captured by the RSF.
And in 2024, you said the conflict in Sudan cannot be resolved through military means, and you recently called for a comprehensive Sudanese-to-Sudanese dialogue. However, considering the involvement of foreign influences such as the UAE, despite their claims to the contrary, what would that process look like in practical terms?
Yes, still I believe that the insurgencies is not the way to solve the problem. Any violence should not be the way to solve the problem. But unfortunately, the RSF has no willingness to stop the war, and even they are ordering by the RSF, by the United Arab Emirates. They are pushing them, and they are also playing and lobbying internationally and diplomatically. They been protected by the United Arab Emirates, and that's why, if to stop the war or to negotiate to the RSF is need to negotiate firstly with the United Arab Emirates, and they have to be set away from the supporting the RSF, and then as Sudanese people they have to return back to their own country under the shadow of the peace.
And who would be? You say we need to. There would need to be negotiations with the UAE directly. Who would lead these discussions? Who for peace in Sudan? Who would be leading this? And how would it differ from previously, unfortunately, failed negotiations? And would it include
a lot
the
of
RSF?
initiation? A lot of initiations are there, including the Quartet initiative, which that's never been rejected, but we have a lot of observations about that initiative because the United Arab Emirates is inside that squad, and that's why we said the United Arab Emirates is the part of the war, should not be take any status of the negotiator or mediator or facilitator, whatever status that they are trying to hide behind that. It's not acceptable because they will undershadow the war once again. And that's why we said the other countries like United States of America, like Egypt, like the Kingdom of the Saudi Arabia, they are okay. They are playing the good role, and we are welcoming. But it's United Arab Emirates is not welcoming in the Quad. But any initiative we grabbed any opportunity from the one opportunity from the 100 among the 100 opportunity of the war, one opportunity of the peace. But at the same time, we need the RSF has to be classified as the terrorist organizations, first of all. Number two, they have to pull out and walk out from all the cities in order to give the chance to this humanity or the humanitarian situation to be improved and the people return back and resume their life. Number three, the RSF should release every abducted person and families, those under the abductions for the 3 years. They have to hand over to the Red Cross, and we think that is the benchmark to reach to the peace.
Thank you very much, Governor. After 110 years at the hands of France, it's finally coming home to Ivory Coast. I'm talking about the return of the Djidji Ayôkwê, the legendary talking drum of the Atchan people, stolen in 1916 by the French colonial authorities. A spiritual object 3 meters long that weighs over 400 kilos, it is one of tens of thousands of artworks and other prized artifacts looted by France during its colonial reign. For Abidjan, its return has been a long time coming. That's all from us for the moment. Stay tuned to France 24. We'll be right back with more news.